Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Well, is it necessary? My name is Ferdinand Anikwe. You've seen it. Paper. I came from one village in Enugu State. They call Amansiodori, and the village background is quite necessary. It's quite useful for me. The development as a culture enthusiast all my life. And I must tell you, I was rigorously schooled in the norms and doctrines of village environments, our festivals, our feasts, our festivities, our history, and very interesting and serene environment. So I was quite close to our history. I was close to my father, who himself was a singer, a dancer, a community orator, community leader, and powerful politician. So I learned a lot of things growing under the tutelage of my father and as a community leader. So well, whichever credential, I don't know, I was actually trained in Western education. I went to primary school, I went to secondary school. My secondary school was in Imo State Comprehensive Secondary School. My primary school in my village, Ihoaya Community Primary School. Then the university was that of University of Port Harcourt, and I had a totally different orientation about man and his environment, about knowledge, about Africa. Like the man who was here today, is a white man who said he wanted to take the picture of this place. He said he's from Vienna and he's in the United States. Then I went into the history of colonialism and liberal democratic scholarship as expounded by the Americans, like Ford, that came establishing business school in the University of Lagos, and the rest of Western financed intellectual development in Africa, where they want us to perpetually link with the colonial idea of development. Well, as I was saying, it is clear that we have been able to think about ourselves, indigenous development as different and independent of either colonialism or communism of the East. That when I was talking with this man, I said the option open to Africa is for us to return to our roots and be able to give the world what God has given to us. Harness and package ourselves in a manner that everybody will learn from us, which Nollywood is doing, which many people are doing now, and which is takeoff. It can be rooted to the first act of 1977, when 59 countries of the world converged here to show us their origin, their history, their development, their tendencies, their culture, things they have known about the world, and the way they package themselves, the way they live in their various countries. And Nigeria being about the most gifted of all, by way of the number of ethnic nationalities, the number of subcultural zones, the number of cultural zones that are here in Africa, we are now saying that this gift should be totally harnessed. And I want to tell you something. General Obasanjo, president of Nigeria, one time, another time, is quite controversial. Nobody does that. But I have a very wonderful regard for him, for being able to arrange at a time in history that this can be funded by Nigeria. This is yet the gold we are waiting for. This is yet the gold Africa will fish from. Nigeria holds the future of Africa by coming back to what God has given us through our culture, through our history. And wonderful Obasanjo, soldier he was, great military leader he was, he possibly, maybe out of his own personal liking, showed interest on gathering these cultures of nations together here. He possibly didn't know what the treasure he has prepared for mankind. And first act, Festac, 3 times I've said it, holds the key to the all kinds of development you expect in Africa and the whole of Pan-African settlements all over the world. I'm today the president of Pan-African Cultural Congress. It came up in May in Johannesburg, and well, I merely addressed them on the potentials of both Festac contributions and knowledge for the role of Pan-African members. My dear brother, I don't know, when I was reading your work, the one of 2013, I said, this young man possibly doesn't know what he's doing for the rest of our people. When you asked one man, he said you should just you should publish and see, be able to publish what you see as the truth. I'm happy he said that. But I am telling you to probe into our history, to probe into what our culture can show the world. My dear brother, it is clear that you say you go to abroad to learn about African studies. It is simply to develop the skills of researching into African studies. You cannot learn African studies in America. What they do is to show you the scale of coming to study it here in Africa. And we who hold fast, we who know the origin of these cultures, should rather show the world what we are. When I attended in Zemada in Akwanga, I told them the only thing you can tell the world is tell us what Zemada is. Bring out the origin. Aspects of Zemada that are not being shown to the world, you get them out. Let me tell you, you go to Mexico, you go to Brazil, you say you call it Brazilian carnival. It's rubbish. These people try to recapture the festivals done here in Nigeria. The Brazilians from Yoruba here, you see our Karade, you see their own. These people try to recapture this before they got into whatever history, whether call it slave trade or whatever. Before they got into it, they tried to see how much their memory could carry them. And so that is why they come in, build something half done, at times their eyes this way, and they climb into a trailer that was not there in Africa before. So, an imitation of our original festivals, they now call it carnival, my dear brother. But who is deceiving you? Let us come home in Africa and originally organize, package, and develop our festivals and festivities, our feasts, and let the world know the unique endowment which God has given to us. That is what CBAAC does here. And we go out harnessing what we have in Accra, in Conakry, in Kigali, in Johannesburg, in everywhere that our settlements are, in Trinidad and Tobago, in Jamaica, everywhere. And even in the United States of America, where our own blacks are, we are going possibly to Dublin in October for Black History Month. And we want to showcase what we have. Our music alone, when I was presenting cultural nights in Enugu State, I used our music to show the history and political developments. In Nigeria, for instance, the Yorubas have monarchical absolutism. The monarch is powerful. The Oba, though he has his members of Yomes, he has the Ogboni, who is the judicial arm and some other things. But because it is difficult to face the Oba and tell him where he's wrong, the Yoruba devised theatrical performances. They devised drama. They devised all kinds of things indigenous to them. And that is why most of the Yoruba dances are wound in dance drama series. And of course, the original professors of drama in Nigeria, Shoyinka, famous officer, Olarotimi, are all Yoruba. And it is akin to their history and behavior. The Igbo man that has his republican nature, he has democracy. And let me tell you, the democracy in Igbo land was consensual democracy, as opposed to the majority rule and minority right of the British. Because of this, the dances in Igbo land are so vigorous. Because when the Igbos want to dance, as they like to go to war, they will agree to dance. And when you are part of it, you will show the vigor, you will show the splendor, and all kinds of things, majestic as it were. That is why you have Atilogo, you have Ukwawit, you have Ukwamabo, and the rest of them. And they are graceful, they are beautiful in their own sense. But it has a tendency to explain the political phenomenon, to explain our history. Go to northern Nigeria, where theocracy is the order of the day. The emir, who has the power of life and death, combines his position as the leader on earth and, of course, the spiritual leader. So when the dancers come, they are distanced. They do very graceful movements, beautiful things, without a lot of demonstration and the noise like Debo. And that shows you the pitch. The girls are distanced. They don't go close to the man who has all the powers, but they entertain him. My dear brother, our dancing patterns and steps depict our history. They show our culture, and they are beautiful presentations. My brother, these things are not in Western Europe or North America. Why are we confusing ourselves? Even in Eastern Europe, they don't have this kind of gifts, exquisite presentations of our dancers everywhere. So I still say it, our gold is in our culture. And that is the only area we are beating the white man. He has beaten us in technology. And we will recolonize them through this. They have colonized us through technology. We will recolonize them through our culture. You are welcome, and I don't know what else you want to tell me. I have 3 master's degrees. Is it necessary? I did in public administration, in peace studies and conflict resolution. I've also done cultural. I don't know what else you want me to do. PhDs probably. But those things are not the matter. The matter is that I'm an African, or repentantly so, and unapologetic. I don't know the English about this, but I am not apologetic to the fact that I'm an African, and we show it and all that. And I can tell you, our orientation, our leadership, our state emergence must come from our original idea of governance. Have you not seen that we've tried East and West and have failed? We must come back to what we have and what God has given to us, and develop our tourism, our cultural programs, our tendencies coming up from our roots. And the whole world still show a lot of interest in Africa because of our economies, our culture, and everything we have that are unique to us. So you're welcome. I thank you for identifying this aspect. You are in a rare place, but this is the gold mine, and you will read from it. And your proper examination, your proper orientation, your proper presentation of what God has given to us in this sector will give you, will elevate you. So whether they are talking about their standard, your standard is good. You are telling the people, provided it is printed in black and white, people will read it. That's what we need. But you add ingenuity to it. And you have interviewed our Nollywood stars. My brother, the Nollywood stars have done a lot of, just like what Babangida did. What Obasanjo did for this country. Nollywood is continuing it. And these 2 areas of Festac and Nollywood, Nigeria is leading the world. Remain blessed. I don't know what else.
Yeah, in fact, you have actually touched virtually everywhere
That's how
I intend to talk about. But at the same time, when you meet an intelligent man, you want to extract more from him.
No, I hope I'm one of them.
No, you have spoken eloquently and intelligently. Yeah. And you see, when somebody is embedded in cultural values, they actually stands out anywhere. Because culture says a lot about the mankind.
Endless.
And even the spiritual books.
Yeah.
If one wants to be truthful, as addresses culture, and everything centers on culture of the people,
That's right.
which God actually addressed at the time.
That's right.
So, holding into our culture, we're still in line with God Almighty who created the whole thing. Now, sir, you mentioned about Nollywood.
Yeah.
And let me just start from there.
Yes.
Nollywood and Kannywood today have gone global. They've done so much for Nigeria. And in the area of culture, is there any plan as a center to create a lasting relationship with this
Let me
sector?
tell you, Nollywood is one thing we have identified as a thing we must not allow to go low in Nigeria. You see, each time we travel abroad, they say, can you give us Aki and the Bobo? Can we see Mama G? Just one of them will pay you millions and trillions. Last year when I did our international conference in Bayelsa State, in Yenagoa, I assembled a lot of them. That Mama G was there. Aki himself was there. Peter ADEJARE was there. This our young brother from Yoruba stock, that with his beard, he was there.
Double.
He was there. Charlie Noje was there. This Osifo was, many of them. Francis Duru, Rattlesnake, well, my dear brother, he became a center of Nollywood. And when we saw the governor said that Mama G was more popular than any politician known in Nigeria. These Nollywood people have done us proud. And you see them, their impeccable English, their beautiful working style, their tremendous, look at Ulu Jacob and his English. Look at Peter ADEJARE and his English. These guys are more eloquent than the English people who have the language. Nigeria has bounties, a lot of talents. And the only thing we are trying to say is that government should actually step in, helping Nollywood. We should create a bank. There's a bank of industry, a bank of commerce, bank of agriculture. Let there be a bank of culture, bank of Nollywood, bank of industry, bank of Nollywood. Look, let me tell you, these guys on their own are struggling to survive. They are working hard to get things and have created a lot of jobs for people. Let the government step in by assisting them. Train them free on their practical. Many of them are theater artists. Some are not. Some are just playing the talents God gives to them. Let us give them a lot of rehearsals. After all, we know that those of them, either in India or America, they rehearse several years. The Nigerians don't even have the money for the rehearsal. But when they come on stage, they excel. So let government step in there. Let government stop piracy. Let government, through the Copyright Commission, stop pirating this so that these people, after suffering, will get the proceeds from their own labor. It's necessary that we are able to give them this protection by way of ensuring that we give them economic support, by way of preventing them from people stealing what they have done, and then by way of helping them in training. And again, it is that will make the equipments they use in film industry available, or we remove duties for them to import these things. That economy, that aspect of the economic contributing sector will help Nigeria. I told you that the culture is gold mine. Yeah. We have seen beautiful music stars, Okosun Ebenizobe, Mike Ijaya, Celeste Noku, Sadebe, what do you call them? Sonny Ade, whose instrumentation moves even the white man. So, I mean, these guys are wonderful. Within the young boys, I don't do Deji, I've forgotten these young ones that are doing flavor and what have you. They are wonderful. So each time you see, in Cameroon, I was in Cameroon and I saw them advertising flavor. You know, I was in Yaoundé. You know, as I told you, I'm the president of Pan African Culture. So I run around the entire place and have an office in Addis Ababa. My dear brother, I want to let you know that Nigeria can harness what we have here. And government is somehow not quite fair to these people. And we of the CBAAC want to collaborate with them in several forms. One of them is that we are coming up with a policy. We've even invited one of their one of their greatest script writers, Chidi Walker. Somebody work at there. Somebody work at there. We invited him to do a script for us that will project our views and mandates of First Act. We want it to completely come out as film, and we'll pay for it and pay them. We also want them to run series of programs with us to project what we have for Pan-African cultural development, both in Nigeria and abroad. We also want to travel with them and show them that these great guys are from our continent, and they will do a lot in giving a positive image of Nigeria beyond the shores of Nigeria. So they are our greatest ambassadors, you know, the Nollywood stars. So I want the government to inherit them, promote them, and encourage other people to make it from there. It is a creation. When they say that necessity is a mother of invention, the Western Europe, the Europeans saw a lot of bad weather, and they were able to create things, including heater, the kind of clothes they wear and all that, even aeroplane and all that. Now, our economy became a necessity and Nollywood emerged. So there are many things we can do here. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very wonderful one, sir. Because I'm a member of that industry, maybe that's why I'm a bit critical about my question.
No, that's all right. No. Let me tell you. You possibly don't know. You see, by derived process, many things will transform others. The government will be battling with the oil sector, gas and that sector, and the Nollywood of this world emerged and started showing a leading style in our economic development. All the government needs to do is to encourage, harness, and broaden that sector and make a lot of money from it. We can tax Nollywood, but we must encourage Nollywood to get a lot of funds which we are going to tax. So that when we tax Nollywood, we have a lot of money from Nollywood. Not tax Nollywood to die, and then we can't tax again. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes.
Sir, you've spoken eloquently on First Act 77.
Yes.
Though I didn't know you were going to touch it before I asked, but that doesn't stop me from asking actually. What's going to happen to World Bank and African Festival of Arts and Culture? I've been there since 1977. No other black nation has shown into
my brother, don't go into that. It is too costly a project. Today's world, it will be so. In short, for it to be funded now, we have to develop a synergy of a lot of companies all over the world that are interested. And you remember, they will try to see how much they will get the gate and all that. Hardly can the governments sponsor these things now. If the government, if it is going to be sponsored, what we think we can do is to have partnership among governments and private sectors, not just one government. Maybe we will say West African government will fund it and all that, and then we have partnership with private sector organizations. But let me tell you, when we attended the meeting of Specialized Technical Committee on Culture, Youth and Sports in Addis Ababa last year, we agreed that we will develop some of these cultural performances because they are quite fundamental, very inevitable, very necessary for our growth and development. We will develop a program by which the sporting activities, now that the world is interested in football, in basketball, in cricketing, and all that, we'll now arrange some, that is the latest technique we are trying to do, so that those countries that are coming for the football will send some other contingents that are artists, both at the exhibition, both singers, and that, so that after playing football, maybe in the evening, you will see some of these things going on. With that, we may be able to turn around a lot of things and then develop competitions in this culture sector, which on its own can be as competitive and as interesting as the sporting component.
Yeah, this is wonderful, sir. Sir, as part of your quest to promote Black and African cult arts, don't you think there is a need to have a collaboration with National Orientation Agency so as to create desk in schools and start giving orientation?
No, National Orientation Agency is good. It's already a parastatal under Federal Ministry of Tourism, Culture and National Orientation. But my dear brother, every country has its own challenges. Much as we are talking of rebuilding, building and rebuilding, packaging and repackaging, interesting policies and programs in the culture sector. You know, we also have the most challenging situation of security. And our brother Michael Mary, who is heading that parastatal, has a lot of energy dissipated on letting the world know how we are surmounting the challenges of security and how Nigeria is facing its threats on it as a nation. And so, since he is saddled with all kinds of problems of letting the public know the direction of government, he has more challenge in that sector. We are with him. He's with us on these areas, and we won't wait. We won't leave it alone for him. We will package it and show the world what we have, while he comes up to pick it once in a while. We were with him last Saturday, when the NIHOT, National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, held a convocation for their graduates. We were all there. So we are working together.
Sir, you have spoken so much about some of the things I actually want to touch, but notwithstanding, I still want to dwell in certain area. The African cultures and values are gradually going extinct. Languages, our dress code, our respect for elders, our value for our things, as in the area of, oh, this thing belongs to us, not me now, belongs to us, okay, let us preserve it so it doesn't get destroyed. Our value for those things are gradually going extinct. As a center vested with the responsibility of repositioning and readdressing this issue, what are you doing to restore our dress code?
We're part of what we do is to arrange conferences and seminars. And you know, ours is multilateral in nature. It is a Pan-African thing. It's not just Nigeria. Because our other brothers in Nigeria, other arms of the culture sector, are doing their best. For instance, NICO has slated a lot of lectures on Nigerian textile, Nigerian attire. And the National Council for Arts and Culture organizes very wide cultural programs, National Festival of Arts and Culture, where everything is showcased. Of course, NIHOT trains people that prepare others for hospitality. But let me just tell you, Nigeria, more than any other country in Africa, identifies with our cultural values. An example is our attire. And the Nigerian attire has on its own evolved. It has emerged on its own. The long flowing gown of the north and the babaliga of both north and west, and the straight wear of the east and southeast, all of them have now come together to one long flowing gown that has a national image, and they call it senator. You will now see many people in the Senate putting it on. The babaliga is now when you want to show that I'm a big man and all that. So Nigerian attire has emerged to the consternation and envy of other African countries. I give you this story. The time I told you I was made the president of Pan-African Cultural Congress in Johannesburg, when I made my speech, I told them that in spite of the language, I can tell you the entire Congress agreed that come 2063, African language must be used as means of communication in African Union programs. And I made bold to add even African dress. And I told them that it is wrong for you to talk of decolonization while you are colonized by a French coat or a British coat, that you have not had your independence. Believe me, when I came out, many of them came hailing me and my position. And one of it is that one of them who pleaded anonymity said that he became ashamed of himself. And after he had his own beautiful African dress, but he was afraid of weather. Then I told him I had to put something that will prevent the cold while I put on my national wear. There is another area which you didn't ask me, but which is very important, and that is using African techniques and methods for our mediation principles, for conflict, for peace, for conflict resolution and peace building in the entire African continent. Much as I told them we had very important traditional institutions that prevent outbreak of violence, that prevent all these kinds of conflicts. But I said that Africans should also develop the spirit to accommodate brotherliness. For instance, particularly those of them at the political sector. It is wrong for an African president to be there for 30 years. When the constitution says after so and so, there will be an election. And to that extent, I also commended Goodluck Jonathan of Nigeria, who willingly gave up after he was beaten in an election. Many people will go to court and do all kinds of things and that. So that kind of spirit of give and take should be allowed to reign within the psyche of our political leaders, because our elders have a lot of respect for resolving conflicts. And I tell them the respect which we show for our elders. A Yoruba man properly dressed in white apparel sees an elder and lies prostrate on the ground in spite of whether that thing will be. Where, can you beat it? Nobody does it for the Queen of England. Nobody does it for the king, any other person, even the President of the United States of America. If we can show that kind of respect, resolving conflicts is a little thing. And within the Igbos, even though they don't prostrate, they take the words of their elders very seriously.
My first opportunity of meeting you, sir, you look so warm and approachable. Can I ask this question, sir? Is that your nature as a person, or the job dictates?
Well, no, it could be both. But ordinarily, the way we were brought up from the communities, you are taught by your parents, first of all, to be humble, to learn from every experience, to respect your elder. In my village today, we don't abuse your elder. Even if he's older than you are by one day, you must respect that. It's very important for us. And I told my children, even though they're growing up in the township, I said, look, go home. Be part of our festivals and festivities. You will see how you will respect the other person. When you go out with your peers, we go for one hunting or the other, you see all the folklore, folk tales around it. But most importantly, the fact that the respect must come from there. And no matter how wealthy, like I am I'm a titled man, it shows some kind of wealth in our place. But no matter how wealthy you are, our people say you are as rich or as poor as your brothers, as your family, as your relations. So if you think you have money and the others are poor in that place, you must be at the level where you relate with them. And you remember that the extended family system in Igbo land has compelled you to be almost equal and the same with all your relations. And therefore, you must, first of all, you must be humbled by the experiences of the environment. So you do it without knowing. But secondly, when we are growing up, what we are taught in public relations is that somebody who comes to your office should go out happier than he was when he came. And therefore, so why wouldn't I be warm to receive a handsome journalist like you? You know, you may not know you are handsome. It is the opposite sex that determines who is handsome and who is. But your public image, your public relation counts when you are full of smiles and all that. If you had come in here with a puffy face, I would have been scared as if this man was sent by a date. You know. So it is a combination of both. But most importantly, I was trained by my father, who himself was an epitome of humility, of beautiful arrangement in public issues. This man was an orator without going to school. And I mean, let me not just go into that. It will seem as if I'm extolling my own inherited politics. But the truth is that I was prepared for some of these things.
That's good. Yeah. I'm highly privileged to have met you, and thanks for the exaltation.
You are deep. If you are not deep, you wouldn't be asking me these questions. You are very deep. It is very, very deep. And I'm inspired. I'm very happy for this interaction.
Thank you, sir.
You know, I just hope they will be fully reflected in the publication.
You can be rest assured.
All right.
Sir, this position is very tasking.
Yes.
I hope it's not having any negative effect.
No, it doesn't.
Family.
Look at that. No. You see, what brings a negative effect is when you are no longer at peace with yourself. You don't have peace of mind and that. For instance, this issue of no money situation. What it rather does is to put you the challenge so that your inner skills will come out. And we have gone out, like this month I was with Guinness yesterday, this morning I was with Ford Foundation. We are reaching out for some other people. What we are trying to do is not to tell them, bring us money. What we are trying to do is to develop a program that will be mutually beneficial, or beneficial to a lot of other people, or the whole world. And it is in this process that you see beautiful ideas, originality, creativity, and ingenuity at its best. And this is why we are saying, in any situation you find yourself, make the best use of it. So there is yet no negative. Maybe by my own assessment, I'm not a psychologist or a medical doctor, I'm in the social science.
No, you know, I'm sorry I had to ask that question, because when you called me this morning, you called me 7:50 here.
Yes.
And you said you were already in the office.
Yes,
I was a bit, you know, I asked, sir, are you in the office? You said, yes, I'm in the office. I was like, 7:50 here.
Yes.
You're Director General.
Yes, I was there by 6:30, yes.
I was like,
no, that's the way.
Doesn't sleep at home?
It's not even that the pressure of work is too much, but it is for a lot of reasons. One, at the morning temperature, a lot of beautiful thinking come up, and I develop, I read, I write. That is number one. All the degrees I acquired, the PGD, the master, 3 masters, PhD, they were all done even as I had become a general manager and later permanent secretary. But that's not even the area I'm talking about. The other area is an inspiration for the younger ones. And nothing can be achieved except waking early. If you find out some of the adage and all that, one is waking early, the other one is studying even when others are not working.
Yes.
Because Longfellow says, the height which men have reached and kept are not attained by a sudden flight. There, while their companions slept, toiled upwards the night. And they now said again that Douglas Malone said you should be the best of whatever you can. And those things you cannot attain if you are not putting extra hour, extra interest, extra promotion. And these are the things we are doing.
That is good. I agree with you absolutely, sir.
Thank you very much.
So in the 8 years of immediate past Director General, there was an overwhelming relationship with the media.
Yes.
And I hope this will be done and surpassed.
Well, the issue of surpassing it has a lot of challenges, but the important thing is that we retain our positive relationship with the media. The media is another investor of history, because the kind of education it gives to the public, first of all, it's prompt. 2 is important. 3 is accessible. And without them, it means in the first place you won't know a lot of things. In the second place, you must go and stay in the university. It's not every person that will go there. So the media does a lot of education, mass education. That's why they say mass communication. You need the media. And again, for us in the culture sector, if you don't talk, nobody will know we are here.
That's true.
You see, the man in charge of works will tie a route. Even if he doesn't talk, we apply the route and they clap for him. Maybe the people in the hospital, before somebody dies, he takes some drugs. Okay, we take it.